Hey everybody, Angelo here. Welcome to another podcast about sexuality. We're going to talk about big dick chasers, gay men who exclusively search for big penises. They have obsessions about big penises. They have representations of big penises as signs of masculinity. I'd like to share with you the psychology of this and why those men are absolutely, hands down, absolutely not ready for healthy relationships. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. If you are interested in learning, going deeper into the psychology of being gay sexuality in a way that is different than most other people. I will not deceive you. I will not lie to you. I will tell you straight up mature, high quality information about what to do to succeed in your gay life, with your relationships. And I've been teaching this for over 15 years now. I'm also the creator of a very successful gay dating platform called the Big Gay Family. And this is why I bring to the table an enormity of experience, because I coach gay men 24/7, and I'm also a mediator in between the conflicts, in between disagreements, in between the gay men who are introduced through the program. So I have seen it all 10 times over, and especially when it comes to the whole business of big penises, big dick chasers, and search for sexual compatibility, what all of that means is that the person has not matured through their psychological development to be in a place of neutrality. And this is really why I say that those men are not going to be successful in relationships, because they are not in a neutral space. They still have cravings that have not been satisfied. And these cravings, kind of like fetishes, will send them to mostly narcissistic lovers that will have those big penises, but will not have the emotional side or the spiritual side developed. And they will victimize the big dick chasers. So it is a recipe for disaster. Now, if you're not looking for big penises and if you get them, that's a different story. But if you're specifically looking for them and this other person will notice that, they will use it against you unconsciously. They will recognize that it is of such value that you will put up with anything in the name of sucking on or getting fucked by the big dicks. So our sexual development takes time. And I remember when I was younger, in my 20s, there was a time when I paid attention more to the big dicks than I do today. Today, I could care less. I literally am in a very beautiful space where it is absolutely irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. And the way I arrived at this place is because I've noticed that it really doesn't make a difference. And the men that have the large penises, they are not all that masculine anyway. It's all a facade. And masculinity has nothing to do with genitals. Masculinity is a way of life, is an attitude of action orientation, accomplishment, problem solving. You're not going to learn that when you have big penises, when you have what I call designer genitalia. You will learn that from teachers, from gurus, from books, from materials. It has to be learned. So to say that someone who has a big dick and designer genitalia, big balls, all of that, that they come with some kind of predisposition to hypermasculinity or masculinity, it's all a whole bunch of nonsense. It may appear that way, but in reality, all the men in my life that have been extra well endowed, they are actually underdeveloped psychologically. And I did pay attention to it across most of my life because I always had this curiosity. And I also knew in my own physicality that taking advantage of my beauty or certain parts of my body that God gave me was always a mistake. And I looked down upon all the gay men, all the men in general, that were using their best traits, especially their penises or their testicles or any parts of their bodies, their chests, their faces, anything, to their advantage against others in ways that was unearned I always considered that a major turnoff. So I was never lured by the big dicks, by all of the attraction to any relationships. In fact, I prefer the average looking guys with the average penises because they have to work harder. They actually have to deliver. They have to bring to the table something more than just their bodies. And I find that very healthy, that what is exchanged in the relationship is value that is created out of nothing, as opposed to just given on a silver platter without having to earn it. And that's what has to do with big penises, with attraction, with beauty. Beauty often is not earned, especially when it comes to the appearance. It's just given. And a person who takes that and uses that against others is a weak individual in my book. It's someone who is weaker. It's someone who is not well developed. And it's just a question of time until this resurfaces to the top and this person reveals the true nature of their infantilism, of their underdevelopment, their emotional lack of maturity, their spiritual neglect, and all of that because they have a big dick. And so I wanted to share this with you because the attitude that most gay men have towards big penises is a completely fabricated fantasy of what it means to be a man. Yes, a man should have a penis and testicles, but it's like when you look at a horse, when you look at animals, are you going to be glaring and staring at the penises of those animals and those horses, and you're going to want to lick them and touch them? No, of course not. And especially in the gay world where there is no creation of babies, there is no creation in sexuality, being obsessive, compulsive, or obsessive and kinky about penises is a complete, utter waste of time. And you will only find that out after 30 years of disgusting relationships where those men will disappear from your life anyway because they're going to find some other loser that will worship them for their big dicks. So ultimately, you will pay the price and you will discover what I've discovered really quickly, that if you want a real man, then focus on the person's mind, their attitude, their accomplishments, their goal orientation, their sobriety, their achievement drive, and their action potential. And there you have a man that will change your life for the best. And everyone else is a child that is still discovering how to be a man, how to show up in the world. And if he leads with the big penis, then we've got a big problem here because nothing will be accomplished with that. And those men who search for that, they fall prey to this entire manipulation scheme where a significance and a meaning is given to something that is completely meaningless, completely insignificant in the big scheme of things of the design of life and the stages that we go through our life. At the beginning, it may be status and beauty, but later you will be craving meaning. You'll be craving significance in the context of intermixing with life's biggest challenges, spiritual pursuits. That is where we should be going in our gay lives with other men, not being sacrificial animals on the pedestal of the big dick chasing. And the men who are entitled, who have the big dicks, who will use you with their entitlement and then spit you out and leave you empty just a few years down the road, and you're going to begin the cycle again. So the men that are the big dick chasers, they will be very easily victimized. They will be very easily taken advantage of. They will be sent into the direction of trauma-bonded relationships where the bonding is based on an improper compatibility, where there is no honesty, authenticity, genuine commitment to the relationship, but instead everything is sex-based, everything is pleasure-based, everything is hedonism-based. And you tell me, have you ever succeeded with anything when you started with ice cream? Have you ever in your life succeeded with anything when you started with a dessert? No, there is no such thing in this world where you start with the unearned, something that's convenient, something that's instant, something that's super pretty or sexy. Whenever you start with that, it just shows that you are still a child. You're still a little baby, and you're gonna have to be scarred and injured by life to teach you the lessons I'm communicating to you today. Now, it took me 30 years since I was 19 and I came out early, and now I'm almost 50, to learn a lot of these lessons and to tell you about it. And I coach about it, I hear about it 24/7. And I have a good friend who's a big dick chaser, and I see what's happening in his life. A lot of times, men who are into kink, they use that as a coping mechanism. They use that as a method for significance where there's emptiness, where there is lack of experience. And especially with men that have been sexually abandoned, meaning that they have not had a lot of decent quality sex, they will invent edgy, kinky situations about sex, narratives about sex, because they know that they have missed out on sex on some level, and they want to make up for it. And they hope that by playing out their sexual fantasies, they will feel fulfilled. They will feel rewarded. But that will never happen, because the way that sex is designed is that if it doesn't come with emotion, it never fulfills you. It never gives you the satisfaction. It's empty sex that only temporarily feels exciting because you're getting off, but afterwards you feel incredibly empty. You feel incredibly self-disowned, as if though you disappeared for a little while and now you are reappearing only to have witnessed something abusive, something that didn't really serve you at all. And so many of these themes in sexuality, like sexual compatibility, big dick chasing, searching for some kind of specimen to satisfy you sexually, these reveal an underlying lack of sexual completion, a frozen state of attraction because of abuse or coming out late, and complications that have to do with sexual abuse and ignorance and lack of education about sexuality, emotions, human psychological development, and just general ignorance about what it means to be gay, and sexualization of the entire landscape of gay existence, which will infantilize a man forever. So my message to all of you is that if you notice that you are chasing big dicks, just reflect on it. Notice what you're doing. You're not choosing people. You are not present to human nature. You're acting out traumas in most cases. You are underestimating that something has happened to you sexually, either not enough sex or sex without emotions. And so you have not integrated wholeness into sexuality. And that's why these kinky, edgy narratives about sex come through your consciousness. If you had wholesome interactions with gay men, if you've seen them naked, but also felt them through multiple situations in your life, you would have realized that the size of someone's dick is completely irrelevant. And for that matter, the kind of sex you have with them is completely irrelevant. Attraction does matter in the big scheme of things. Yes, being attracted, like I am more blonde, I am more attracted to brunettes, I am leaner, super thin, and I like a little bit thicker guys. I am smooth, I like hairy guys. But even that can be adjusted depending on the emotional situations that happen in my life where I feel comfortable, and with that comfort, with the absence of stress, arousal comes through automatically. But because most of us don't have relaxing, beautifully enhanced emotional situations with each other, that arousal is trapped in a state of kinkiness and extreme perception of sexuality. And that is a recipe for a disaster of someone's romantic life for the rest of their lives. So I hope that you take what I'm saying to you seriously. You awaken your consciousness to a much more wider and open perception of sexuality, because that will be exactly what you will need to fall in love multiple times for the rest of your life. So I hope you found this podcast helpful. Join us at the Big Gay Family social program if you want healthy dating, healthy men, the best quality dating experiences, because we've got the best guys, because they're attracted to knowledge, they're attracted to quality, and they're not the typical guys from the gay scene from Fort Lauderdale, from Boys Town, Chicago, or Chelsea, New York City, or Castro, San Francisco. These are not the typical guys who slut themselves around on the hookup apps. So join us at the Big Gay Family social program and taste the difference. Visit biggayfamily.com and see for yourself. Okay, my friends, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next podcast. Take care.